5:30 and 5:40, two people saw your car stopped on Whitehall Road. And they saw you come from out of the bushes. What were you doing, Melissa?
It was an accident. I can't live with myself. I deserve to just die.
Tell me what happened.
Sandra was walking down the road. Sandra was walking and she saw me. She came up to the car and she saw my suitcase. And my suitcase was inside of my car on the back seat. And like I told you before, she likes to hide and play hide and go seek. And she hid inside in there and I didn't know. I told her I had to go into the house, so I drove to the church. And then when I came outside, I looked at my suitcase. And I went to take it out and it was heavy. And she was in there. And she wasn't breathing or anything.
We can prove that that was not a likely scenario because we know that Sandra was drugged. Sandra was also sexually assaulted. Melissa's story absolutely did not make sense.
A black suitcase floating on the surface of an irrigation pond. Inside was the body of an 8-year-old girl who had been missing for 10 days. When police began investigating, they searched for a male criminal with a history of child abuse. But the truth was completely different. The perpetrator was a woman no one could have suspected. Someone who had exploited a child's trust to commit the most horrific crime imaginable. Welcome to the Case Files, where we explore the most shocking and mysterious criminal cases in the world. Today, we'll dive into one of America's most heartbreaking cases, a case the media called an unforgivable crime. In this episode, we're taking a deep dive into the infamous case of the Suitcase murder, the Black Suitcase killing, Sandra Cantu. Setting and characters. This story takes place in 2009 in Tracy, California, a small city with a population of about 93,000 people, located in California's Central Valley. This was a fertile agricultural region where many working-class families chose to live because of the affordable cost of living. Sandra Renee Cantu, a little angel born on March 8, 2001. The 8-year-old second grader attended Melville S. Jacobson Elementary School. Sandra lived with her mother, Maria Chavez, her grandparents, and 3 siblings at the Orchard Estates Mobile Home Park. This was a small community where everyone knew each other, where children could play freely together without anyone worrying about safety. Also living in this same mobile home park was Melissa Huckabee, a 28-year-old woman who taught Sunday school at the local church. She had a daughter the same age as Sandra, and the 2 children often played together. Everyone knew Melissa as a religious woman who actively participated in charity work and taught at the church. No one could have imagined that behind that gentle exterior lurked such a dark soul. The fateful day, March 27, 2009. Friday, March 27, 2009, started like any other day. After school, Sandra went to play at a friend's house until around 4 p.m., then returned home. At 3:54 p.m., security cameras captured the last image of Sandra, the little girl wearing her favorite Hello Kitty shirt, walking cheerfully across the street in front of her house. Sandra told her family she was going to play at another friend's house. This was completely normal in this mobile home park, where children regularly went back and forth between each other's homes to play. But when dinner time came and Sandra still hadn't returned, worry began to set in. At 7:53 p.m., Sandra's family officially reported her missing to the police. What was suspicious was that just 8 minutes after the camera captured Sandra walking, the same camera caught Melissa Huckabee's SUV driving in the opposite direction. Coincidence or intentional? The desperate search. As soon as they received the report, Tracy police began a large-scale search. They searched the mobile home park, interviewed neighbors, and reviewed all security cameras in the area, When the initial search yielded no results, the FBI was called in to assist. Over the weekend of March 28 to 29, the search was expanded with K-9 units, tactical police teams, all-terrain vehicles, and helicopters from the California Highway Patrol. The reward money for information about Sandra was raised to $22,000. 16 different law enforcement agencies participated, working 12 hours a day at high intensity. But Sandra seemed to have vanished without a trace. No clues, no evidence. Police began to fear the worst had happened. The first clues. During the investigation, police interviewed all residents of the mobile home park, including Melissa Huckabee. What was notable was that from the day Sandra went missing, Melissa had sent a text message to Sandra's mother saying, "Tell the police that I had something stolen around 4 p.m. today. I don't know if that makes any difference." When interviewed, Melissa kept mentioning that her black, waterproof Eddie Bauer suitcase had been stolen. She even let police search her car, but nothing suspicious was found. Melissa also told the media that Sandra had come to her house to play and then went to another friend's house. She said she didn't let her daughter play with Sandra because the toys would get mixed up and messy, making it hard to organize. The horrific discovery. 10 days passed in desperation. On April 6, 2009, Luis Franco, a worker at a dairy farm, was performing routine water drainage from an irrigation pond when he discovered a black suitcase floating on the water's surface. "I knew about the missing girl. I saw it every day on the news channels, and I have children of my own. When I walked by and saw that suitcase, I felt something was very suspicious," Franco recalled. He immediately called 911. Police quickly arrived at the scene. The suitcase was unusually heavy, and everyone feared what might be inside. To preserve evidence, police didn't open the suitcase at the scene, but transported it to the morgue. And indeed, inside the suitcase was Sandra's body, stuffed tightly in a fetal position, a position an 8-year-old child couldn't have gotten into by herself. Autopsy results. The autopsy revealed horrifying details. Sandra was strangled with a piece of fabric tied into a noose. The girl had cuts on her lips and scratches on her elbows. There were signs of sexual assault with a hard object, consistent with the diameter of a rolling pin. Sandra's blood contained alprazolam, anti-anxiety medication. Cause of death, suffocation from strangulation. The unexpected suspect. Initially, police and the FBI focused on the criminal records of men in the area, especially those with a history of child sexual abuse. According to FBI statistics, women are only involved in 7% of child murders, and single women attacking children are even rarer. But a series of strange coincidences surrounding Melissa Huckabee began to attract attention. She happened to lose her suitcase on the exact day Sandra went missing. That suitcase had characteristics identical to the suitcase containing Sandra's body. She happened to find a note indicating the location of the body. The decisive clue. On March 28th, during a prayer service for Sandra, Melissa approached police and the FBI looking agitated, crying and breathing heavily. She said she had found a piece of paper on the ground with the message, "Cantu is locked in stolen suitcase, thrown in water on Baquetti and Whitehall Road. Witness." This note accurately described the location where Sandra's body was found, but was written before the body was discovered. How could an ordinary person have known this information? A crucial witness emerged, a former Marine and his wife who lived near the irrigation pond. They remembered that around 5:30 to 6:00 p.m. on March 27th, they had seen Melissa and her SUV in the pond area. When they asked, Melissa hastily explained, "I just need to pee," an unnecessary and suspicious explanation. Undeniable evidence. Security cameras at the church where Melissa worked showed her car leaving the church for 30 minutes, exactly the time she was seen at the irrigation pond. The FBI searched the church and found a rolling pin with bloodstains and a bent handle. DNA testing confirmed this was Sandra's blood. Most importantly, handwriting experts compared the writing on the witness note with Melissa's handwriting samples. Result: they were written by the same person. The confession. Faced with irrefutable evidence, Melissa Huckabee finally confessed to the crime, but her story didn't match the forensic evidence. Melissa said she and Sandra were playing hide-and-seek. She suggested Sandra hide in the suitcase to scare her daughter. Sandra agreed, and Melissa zipped up the suitcase. Then she forgot Sandra was inside. When she remembered, she tried to give Sandra CPR and used wet towels to cool her down, but it was too late. I was confused and didn't know what to do. My head was spinning and I lost control. I didn't think too much and decided to push the suitcase into the pond, Melissa said. The truth behind the crime. But forensic evidence showed Melissa's story was a lie. Sandra didn't die from suffocation in the suitcase, but was strangled with a noose. The girl was sexually assaulted before she died. Sandra's blood contained sedatives, proving she had been drugged. Psychological experts believed Melissa might have suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a mental disorder that causes people to create or cause harm to attract attention. Melissa had a history of 20 instances of self-harm, arson, and psychological attacks on others. In one of Melissa's notebooks, investigators found the line, "Cute but psycho. Things will even out." 2 days before killing Sandra, Melissa had searched the internet for locations with rivers and streams in the area and lists of sex offenders in California. This showed the crime wasn't an accident, but was premeditated. The trial and verdict. On June 14, 2010, Melissa Huckabee pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. During the trial, the atmosphere was filled with grief as Sandra's parents wept uncontrollably. Melissa also cried and told Sandra's mother, "I shouldn't have taken the little girl from you. I owe you an explanation, but I don't understand why I did it myself." She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on charges of kidnapping, first-degree murder, and aggravating circumstances. Impact on the community. The Sandra Cantu case shocked the entire United States. More than 4,500 people gathered at Sandra's memorial service. The elementary school where Sandra attended built a playground named after the little girl. Sandra's cousin organized an annual Sandra's Day event on her birthday, where local children voluntarily share photos and fingerprints to raise awareness about child safety. This case also changed law enforcement's perspective on female criminals in child abuse cases. As prosecutor Tom Testa admitted, "We thought there was no way a woman could do such things." The Sandra Cantu case is a heartbreaking warning about how the most trusted people can sometimes be the most dangerous. Melissa Huckabee, a Sunday school teacher, a mother, a respected member of the community, exploited a child's trust to commit a horrific crime. Sandra Cantu, the little 8-year-old angel, became a symbol of innocence brutally taken away. Although her life ended too soon, Sandra's legacy lives on through efforts to protect children and raise awareness about child safety. This story reminds us that crime has no fixed face. It can come from those closest to us, those we trust most. Teaching children about safety and creating an environment where they can share, when they feel unsafe, is all of our responsibility. Please leave your thoughts about this case in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss other compelling criminal cases. See you in the next episode of the Case Files.